How's it going, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I am going to share with you guys my testimony and how I came out of the New Age and came back to Jesus. So let's start from the beginning. So I grew up in a mainly Christian household, and I say mainly because we had a lot of like Eastern philosophy, Eastern religion influences. We had this like wall of books, and we had books on astral projection, meditation, chakras, you know, so like that kind of influence and was already like in my life from a very young age. And then we would go to church on Sundays, and the church that we went to was just kind of like a little stiff. Most of the congregation was like an older generation. You know, they were singing like the hymns, the old school hymns, and I just wasn't feeling it as much, and it wasn't like feeding me like the church that we go to now. They like preach straight out of the word, and they feed us with the word. But thank God for my mom, who really held it down for us spiritually, because I think she was the main reason why we went to church. So praise God for a godly mom. And as a kid, I got super into things like magic. I watched that movie, The Craft, and I was like, you know, I wanted to know more about that. And so I got some books on witchcraft, and I got a Ouija board, and my mom threw it away, and I was super mad at her. But now I'm like, thank you, Mom. Yeah, she was just looking out for me. And you know, I was getting into things slowly. I had no idea the spiritual implications that it could have, that it had on my life. And even having those books and stuff, I didn't know until last year what doors it opens. And as a kid, one of the worst things that happened to me was I was sexually abused by my babysitter's children, who were older than me. And I just feel like, looking back at it now, like the devil was just trying to destroy me from a very young age. And that oh man, then growing up as an adult, I was like, I had problems in relationships. I always like ended my relationships, and it was just like such a struggle that you know, the devil basically was trying to just destroy my life. And so basically, in the house that I grew up in, and I don't know if it's because of the things we had in the house, but the house was freaky. It was scary, and weird things happened. I gotta get my water. I remember weird things happened. I was scared. I would see ghosts in the house. I would see things, and I remember praying to God, I don't want to see this anymore. Please take this away. And like one weird thing that happened is me and my dad were watching TV one night, and we had like one of those old school rotary phones that you dial, and the phone part, the receiver, the phone rang. I reached over to pick it up. The receiver lifted up off the base and slammed back down by itself. And as an adult, I probably would be like, oh, that was my imagination. But my dad was there, and he was a witness, and he was like, whoa, like what? And just weird things like that would happen. And then around 12, 13, you know, I was really into like scary movies and stuff, and I rented the movie The Exorcist, and that was horrible, a horrible mistake, because it like deeply disturbed my mind. And I would have dreams, horrible dreams of battling demonic forces. But in the dreams, and I didn't know, no one told me to do this, and I didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom. But in my dreams, I would always call on Jesus. I would always call on Jesus. No one else, Jesus. So God was with me all the time. And we would go to church on Sundays, and I did accept Jesus into my heart at 8 years old. And I remember the moment, and it was beautiful. And I'm just so thankful to have the seed planted at a young age of church, of Jesus, of God, because that's what later saved me later on. And so, okay, so after high school, that movie called The Secret came out, and someone had brought it to our house. And I remember it was 2004. I just graduated high school, and when I watched that movie, I was like changed, because it had like, it was like feeding that part of me that wanted to know the truth, the universal truth, ancient knowledge. It really was like very stimulating. And whereas, you know, I was saying how my other church was like boring, this was very stimulating, and it seemed to be like a little piece of the puzzle of like, you know, I wanted to know the truth about the world. And God naturally made me a researcher. Like, I research everything. I want to know how it works. I want to know why it works, you know, about anything. So I got heavily into finding out about, you know, the other authors of the other contributors to that movie, and basically all the things that those people were into. Mind you, I did not know that this whole sphere of stuff, it was called the New Age. I had no idea. I just thought these were like universal truths on a path to enlightenment. Because basically at that time, I was seeking truth, I was seeking knowledge, I was seeking enlightenment. And two of the things I got really into were the law of attraction and manifestation. Like, super heavy. I even like started a business at one point called Live Your Dreams Now, and I wanted to like coach people and teach people how to manifest your dream life. And with the law of attraction and manifestation, it basically teaches you that you are the creator of your own life, and that by holding a positive vibration, a positive frequency, and positive thinking, you can attract, you know, anything you want. You can build your dream life. And there is truth to that. But the thing is that that stuff doesn't come from God. So where does it come from? That's what I had to find out the hard way. And so I got super into that, and one thing led to the next, because I had this voracious appetite that couldn't be filled by these things, and I didn't know that, but I was like on this never-ending search for the truth. So it led to other things. It led to astrology. I got super into astrology towards the end, before God pulled me out of the New Age. I was using astrology to predict, you know, what my next, you know, month would look like, the next few months, the next year, basically to predict the future. And I didn't know it, but the Bible says you don't do that. You don't mess with that. And one of the things I realized now, why all this stuff is like not what God wants, is because it slowly leads you away from Him. And it slowly leads you relying on yourself. And instead of coming to Him and asking for these things, or asking for help, or asking for wisdom on certain, you know, areas of your life, you're seeking all these other things but Him. And I remember seeing like a YouTube video by this girl, and she was coming out of the New Age. And she was like, yeah, you know, I'm not really into that stuff anymore. I haven't been using it. I've actually been praying. And I remember when she said that she was praying, I was like, I was like offended, you know, which was weird. And, you know, now I know, it was like the darkness inside of me was like, no, don't go there. Don't know the truth. Let's keep this veil of illusion over you. And so that was just a little seed that God planted along the way, that later, you know, these things would, you know, it all came full circle. And at one point I wanted to be a motivational speaker, and I did my one and only like motivational speaking event at the women's Salvation Army, women's group at the Salvation Army. And I remember I did my whole talk on like manifestation, and they were okay with that. But then when I got to the end of my talk about how I believed, you know, these are Christian women, which I didn't really get that at the time. The Salvation Army was like a Christian organization. I was young. And when I got to the end of my talk, and I got to the part where I was like, and you know, like all the world's religions are just one same thing, and we're all just, you know, praying to the same God. This one lady stood up and she was like, no, that's not true. My God is not the same God as that God and that other God. And I was like, so offended that she would ruin my, like, I was the speaker and she like got up and like ruined my speech. And I looked around and I just knew I lost the crowd. Like, they were over it. It was like, wrap it up, honey, you're on your way. And I was so embarrassed. And you know, when you're not a Christian and you're looking at from the outside, looking at them, you think they are so limited in their beliefs. They're in this square. They're so square themselves that they're boring. They're stale. Like, they're, oh, you know, and you feel bad for them. Like, you feel like, I know more about the universe than you do. Like, oh, you know, you just think that you know more than they do, pretty much. And now I just know she knew who she was in the Lord. She knew who she was, and she wasn't about to yet let this 20-something-year-old tell her things that are basically not true. And one of the things I want to say is that for people who haven't come to know Jesus, I completely understand the struggle, because one of my biggest, like, I hate to say this, but one of my biggest beefs with God was like, why would you create all these people and then, you know, all these different religions, a way of being, if there was only one way? And I struggled with that until the very end, like until God pulled me out. I couldn't wrap my mind around that. You know, it just didn't make sense to me. And I felt like that, you know, that misunderstanding on my part of the truth, it really kept me like distant. God wasn't distant. I was the one who was like, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. So other things I got into was, in 2014, I started a yoga teacher training, and I wanted to become a yoga teacher. And around this time, you know, I was really heavily into the whole Eastern philosophy, because a lot of that stuff has, you know, nice ideas, and you know, like Buddha, for example. I had a little Buddha statue, and you know, I was like, at that time, I was cool with Buddha. Like, he realized the world, you know, the 8 truths. Sorry, it's been a long time. But he realized that the world was full of suffering, and that the only way to get out of here, out of this karmic cycle of life or death and rebirth, was through enlightenment. And I was like, yeah. And so I believed in, I started doing research on past lives, and all the videos, like there's all these videos on YouTube about these little kids who like remember their past life, and they go to like a place where they've never been, and they're like, yeah, this was my house in a past life. and they like know where everything is, and you know, like details that they just couldn't know. And I was like, wow, like past lives must be real. And so I believed in past lives for like 10, maybe 15 years. And that, you know, that was one of the biggest lies that the devil told me, because in the end, I was like not living this life as much as I could with everything I got, because I was like, oh, I'll do it in the next life. I'll do it in the next life. I remember I was like, I want to be like a Hawaiian surfer chick in my next life. That's who I want to reincarnate as. And I was like, you know, if I can't get it in this life, I'll get it in the next life. And like now looking back, I'm like, what a fantastic lie that you could, you know, fool people into believing they have another chance when maybe this is the only chance. You know, that touches my heart. Like, if this is the only chance, whoo, you better get it right? And so I got really into past lives. I did past life regression hypnotherapy. I got into hypnotherapy. I got into Tai Chi and energy movement, and I would go to festivals. There was this festival that I would go to every single year. It's called Lucidity Festival, and I loved it. Like, I loved it. And I even got like my cousin involved into it, and you know, we just had like such a great time there. But we were getting more and more lost and farther and farther and farther away from God. And you know, we would partake in plant medicine and go to cacao ceremonies and do all these workshops and all these things. And you know, the things there, you know, they taught things that I was seeking. I just wanted to know the truth, and all of these like classes and workshops were on the truth. And I remember I went to this one workshop by this gentleman. I won't say his name. But after the workshop, I wanted him to be my teacher, because he did like take on students. So I paid him $1,500 for 10 sessions of learning ancient wisdom. So he was taught by his teacher like ancient wisdom, shamanism, you know, like all these things, like ancient Lemurian text and wisdom and this and that and the other. And I remember he told me the story that like he was starting to gain power, right? Where did it come from? That's, you know, you always got to ask yourself. And I remember this story that he told me. So he was walking down the street, and there was a bunch of crows sitting in a tree, and they were all like cawing and being loud with a loud ruckus. And he was like, oh, that's so annoying. And in his mind, he was like, stop, but without saying it. He didn't say it, and they were silent. And I remember him saying like, and that was like scary. So he was like gaining this power that even scared him. And I was like, you know, during this time, this is like mid 20, like, you know, around 2015, 16, 17, around this time, like my life was slowly, like I wasn't reaching enlightenment or getting closer to being positive or happy or like attaining the goals I wanted. Like, yeah, I manifested little things, but one thing I heard in someone else's testimony is like the devil can give you things. And I was like, whoa, what? Like even the devil can give you things. And one thing is that I didn't even believe in the devil. I believed in God. I believed in demons. I did not believe in the devil. Like, that was one of my first mistakes right there. I didn't believe that he was real. I didn't believe in hell, because the New Age teaches you like there is no hell, you know? They don't want you to know about that. I mean, the devil doesn't want you to know about that. He doesn't want you to know where this path leads. But, you know, so I was just becoming more and more frustrated. And the law of attraction is like all about, you know, you have to basically control your mind, think positive so that you can get positive results. and I wasn't getting positive results. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong? Like, and for those of you who know me, I was pursuing a music career from like 19 to like 33. Like, I wanted to become a rock star because I had this end goal of like, you know, I wanted to share, you know, God with the world. And I thought if I was like on the biggest platform, I would have the biggest reach and the biggest influence. And that is what I really wanted to do. But I got so far off the truth that I don't think God could give me that, because I was just lost. And, you know, so that's one of the biggest things. Like, I wasn't able to manifest that. And it broke my heart. And I felt like such a failure after that. You know, because like around 2017, I had been pursuing the music industry. And I just felt like, yeah, nothing's happening. Like, nothing that I sought out to do, like on the scale, because I was like, I wanted to reach the top. And it just wasn't happening. And I was like, like, you know, I'm over it. I'm over it. And by that time, I had a daughter, and I think she was like about 5 years old. So it was like my priorities already had to shift. And it was like I didn't manifest my dream of becoming a rock star or, you know, gaining commercial success with music. And I was just like, all right, I've had it with you. I've had it with you, music. I'm breaking up with you. I'm moving on with my life. And I also started to have health problems. I had to get a LEAP procedure done in 2006, and that's when the cells on your cervix basically are like becoming cancerous. And then 10 years later, it came back, and the doctors wanted to do the LEAP procedure again. So the LEAP procedure is when they like basically just cut off the tip of your cervix, which is like the beginning of the womb. I'm sorry, your uterus. And so in 2016, when it came back, I was like, so what, every 10 years you're just gonna chop a little piece of my body off? So there was a dust. And I was like, no, I still want to have more children. Like, you're not gonna do that. And so I told you I was like, I'm a researcher, and I researched how to heal cervical dysplasia naturally. And thanks to YouTube, I found videos of other women who have healed it naturally using nutritional therapy, and then that led to the Gerson therapy. I'll make a different video on this later if you guys are interested. But through that whole experience and like finding a naturopathic doctor and working with her and using vitamins and nutrition to heal, God planted a new dream in me. And it's something I'm so excited about. And this is like what I'm currently pursuing. I don't know if I want to be a nurse or a doctor, but I'm already on the path of pursuing this now. So God planted a new dream in me. And so under this time frame though, my life was I didn't manifest music. Things in my personal life were like going dark. My daughter was she was having a really hard time, and her dad and I were going to court, and we went to court a few times. You know, we couldn't agree on certain things, unfortunately. And I remember one of the things that he told the judge is like that I moved so many times. And I think like being sexually abused, it like damages, you know, it damages a part of you that has like stability. And so I moved a lot, and that's something I really regret, that I didn't have more stability during those years when she was really young. And you know, I was just trying to find my town, my village, my place, and I was never finding it. I was never getting fulfilled, and things were just getting so dark. And when she was having a hard time, that was really, it was like when I felt so sad, like so sad. And her, you know, her dad's comment about me like moving so much, it made me feel terrible, horrible. And like in the darkest moments, see, I had tried to overcome my own darkness, my own, the things that were weighing me down. I tried to overcome it myself. Like I tried shadow work. I tried frequency healing. I tried sound healing. I tried plant medicine. At like this point, I was about to spend $5,000 to go to Costa Rica to go to that ayahuasca retreat and, you know, get the answers from Mother Ayahuasca. Like it was getting like desperate, but I was just like, with the new age, like you just go from one thing to the next because you nothing's filling that void. And in this darkest time, I had gotten into yoga and I got into meditation, and Bali was a kali. It was calling me. Bali, like I was just on Instagram, Bali, like all these people, all these social media influencers were going to Bali, and I was like, I want to go to Bali. Like Bali is calling me. I need to go to Bali. And like everything kind of, all the darkness in my life, it just, it came to a head. And, you know, my daughter was having a hard time, and I just felt so bad. Her dad making those comments about me moving and how it's like not stable. I was like, if I'm the problem, let's eliminate the problem. Which is a terrible way to think. But I was like, I'll move to Bali and let's just eliminate the problem. And that was one of the first things when I was like, whoa, hold up, wait a second. I would never like leave my family. Never. I was like, what's going on here? What's really happening? Like, so that was like one of the first little moments of turnaround. Because I was like, that's not me. Like, I would never do that. Never. And I never would do that. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And this was January of 2019. And I was looking up plane tickets and I was researching expats in Bali, how to get a job in Bali. I was looking up flight tickets. Like, that's how close the darkness like was like, you know, they just wanted me. So at this point, this is like 10, 15 years in the new age. And I was lost. I was depressed. I didn't achieve my dreams. I was moving all the time. I was living at my parents' house in my 30s. You know, I had no real career. The ones I tried to do, like, it just, nothing materialized. And I was just like, whoa, like, what has happened? What has happened here? And that's when God pulled me out. And that's when Jesus saved me. And the moment, the turnaround moment was one night I was going to take my parents to the airport. And I was waiting for them to get ready, and I was just on my phone, and it was already coincidental because I was on Facebook and I hadn't been on it for like 2 years before that because I didn't want to share anything with anyone because my life had just turned into a big blah 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 blah. And I was on Facebook and I come across this post by Doreen Virtue. And if you guys know Doreen Virtue, she is the angel lady, or she was the angel lady, who she wrote all these books about how to get in touch with your angels, how to communicate with your angels. She had all these cards on, like angel cards, everything about angels. She was like the lady about it. And the post said, angel cards can lead to demonic possession. And I was like, what? what? Like, record screech, what? What? I was like, oh, okay, surely her account has gotten hacked. Like, let's see what's going on here. And it was like a couple paragraphs long, and I read the whole post, and she was like, no, my account hasn't gotten hacked. I have come to know Jesus Christ, and you know, Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life, and please destroy everything. If you have bought one of my books, please destroy it. Please get rid of the cards. Please, like, just get rid of all of that stuff, because I've come to know the truth, and all of that stuff was deception. And I was like, whoa, like, what? Like, here she is, like, throwing away her, like, 30-year career. I think she made millions of dollars. You know, I saw her, she was living in Hawaii. Like, she was living a good life. And I was just like, wow, like, what? And I was like, amazed. I was absolutely amazed. And she had a link to Steven Bancarz, who had a video that said, like, basically the occult paraphernalia in your home that can give demons legal grounds to be in your life and in your home and inside of you. And I was just like, whoa, like, I need to check this out. And so I watched the video, and like, if there was a list of 30 things, I had like 25 of them. I had the Buddha statue, I had the books, I had the symbols, I had the crystals, I had this and that and the other, and I was like, whoa. Another like mind blown moment. I was like, whoa. I was like, if this is for real, I need to like find out. And I watched other videos by him, and I started researching, like, you know, because at that time I was super into yoga, super into meditation. And people were even saying that yoga and meditation was like, you know, not from the Lord. And I was like, not my yoga, not my meditation, like, don't take that from me. Because those were two things I felt like really helped me along my healing journey, especially. And when there was just something that clicked in my mind, because all of the things that I had studied and all of these things I had done, the law of attraction, the manifestation, listening to Abraham Hicks, like, all of this stuff, it didn't bear fruit. There was no fruit. I was the opposite. I was freaking broken. I was lost. I was depressed. Like, all of that stuff. And then I remembered that video of the girl, and she was like, I've turned to prayer, and that's working for me. And I was like, wow. I was like, I need to pray. I need to pray. And just around that time, a friend of mine invited me to church. And she had been going to this church for about a year. And it was a Tuesday night Bible study. And I was like, hey, to Carlos, like, let's go check this out. And we went, and I loved it. And that night I stood up, and he stood up for the altar call, and we gave our lives to Jesus. We gave our lives to Jesus. And even in that moment, when we were standing there with our heads bowed, I felt like a hand on my shoulder. And I was like, in the moment, you know, they were singing the anthem song. It's like, hallelujah, Jesus won the victory. Oh, it was such a moment. It was such a beautiful moment. And I felt this hand on me. I turned around, and no one was there, you know? And I heard other people's testimonies, and they were like, they felt that hand. And they were saying that it's like, that it was Jesus. And I don't deny it. Because, like, through all the big moments in my life, when I really needed help, like when I was giving birth to my daughter, I remember calling on Jesus. When I was laying on the table not the operating table, but like the table where my naturopathic doctor was like helping me with my cervical dysplasia, I called on Jesus. You know, in those dreams, battling demonic forces, I called on Jesus. And, you know, he was always there. He was always there. God was always there. And God always provided for me all these years, especially when I became a single mom. He took care of everything. I always had food. I had a place to live. Like, he provided everything for me. And I just want to say, like, no matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, you can call on Jesus. You can call on Jesus. And in the scary moments, in like my scariest moments, you know, Jesus was there. And if you need help of any kind, you can call on Jesus. I promise you, I 100% guarantee, promise you that he will help you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, what religion you come from. None of that matters. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a hoot about that. He just loves you, and he wants you to be, he wants to know you. He wants to have a relationship with you. And why Jesus? Like, why Jesus? I listened to all these testimonies around that time, and there was something about Jesus. There was something different about Jesus that Buddha didn't have, that the Hindu gods didn't have. And it's because Jesus is the only one who died on the cross for our sins. He's the only one who died to give us salvation, because the wages of sin is death. And Jesus came to this planet. See, the way I understand it right now is that God wanted us to know him so badly that he had to come into human form, because like without that, it's like what, a swirl of dust, or like a cloud, or what is God? What is he? Like, our human brain, we need to almost put it into form to understand what it really is. And so God created his only son, and he was like, you're gonna go down to this planet and you're gonna teach these people, because they are so lost. Like, if you look around our world right now, like, people are so lost. And Jesus was the only one who died to set us free. And during this New Age time, I was going to this Buddhist church, and Buddha didn't do that. Once he reached enlightenment, he was like, peace out, I'm gone. Like, Jesus came here and he died for us. And when you really understand that, and when he came to take on your sin. So the most horrible thing you have ever done, the most horrible thoughts you have ever thought, whatever it is, he is like, let me take that. Let me free you from that. Let me take that off of you. Like, you don't need to be weighed down by that. And when, for me personally, I was like, you'll take that, my own darkness, my own darkest things. I was like, you'll take that, Jesus, like, from me to set me free? I was like, whoa, wow. So it was such a revelation for me. And I watched that movie, The Passion of the Christ, and it's just like, oh man, he went through such turmoil. And for people who, you just need to do your own research. Just ask God to reveal himself to you, and he will. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for you to do it. And so when I came out of the New Age, I burned all my New Age stuff. I wanted every door that I had opened, I wanted them all closed in Jesus' name. And I burned all the books, I burned all the crystals, I burned my Tibetan singing bowls, I burned anything and everything having to do with the New Age, because I didn't want to take any chances. I wanted to close all of those doors that were wreaking absolute havoc on my life. I felt extremely convicted to stop doing yoga. And that was, that was my only form of exercise at that time. But I just had this feeling, I was like, God doesn't want me to do yoga. And do your own research about yoga if you don't know about that. But I felt convicted to stop doing yoga. I felt extremely convicted to stop drinking alcohol. Carlos and I, the day we went to the altar call, I was like, yeah, basically sleeping together is out of the question. Like, we know that. Or I knew that. And so we stopped sleeping together, and I just slowly was becoming transformed. And it's been a year, almost a year and a half later, and I'm playing music on the worship team at my church. So it's like God had a plan for my music dream. Originally I wanted to use music to teach people, to share with people about God, and now I am. Like, isn't that incredible? Like, it wasn't in vain. All those years of like practicing and playing, and it was all like, now it's all for the greater glory of God, and you have no idea what that means to me. It's like it's just like, everything was worth it. It was worth it. So it's been about a year and a half since that night when we stood up and did the altar call and accepted Jesus into our life. And the things that have happened since then, like where I am now versus where I was when I was in the New Age, is a world of difference. Carlos and I are getting married. We play on the worship team together. I mean, that was one of my biggest dreams, was playing in a band with my man, and we're on the worship team together. And my daughter is so happy now. Like, we have stability, we have those things that we always craved. And so I'm just so grateful that God pulled me out of the darkness and brought me back into his presence and into relationship with him. And I'm reading the Bible every day, and our life is it's getting better and better, you guys. So I just want to encourage you, get to know who Jesus is. If you don't know him, if it sounds cringy, just do your research, just get to know who he is, because I promise you, he is the way, the truth, and the life, like they say. So if you've made it this far into the video, thank you guys so much for watching. This is my testimony, and I hope it encourages you to share yours. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you'd like to. I didn't make this video for that though, but if you'd like to subscribe, go ahead, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.